So by now, I'm sure you have seen that the electric Silverado, the Silverado EV, has been released by Chevrolet. And I know that some of you might not be massive electric truck fans. But to this I can say, I'm sure this video will interest you because what I'm going to do today is talk about the wins and the differences between the Silverado EV and our friends over at Ford and their F-150 Lightning. So with that, let's get going. All right, so as I mentioned off the top, yes, I realize that not all of my viewers here are big electric truck fans, but what I can say to that is a couple things. Number one, I have a feeling that many of you who aren't electric fans have just simply never driven an electric vehicle. Now, let me back up and say, I realize that electric vehicles and electric trucks are not for everybody, not even close yet. Right? It's only for a specific segment, and I can completely understand that. And you know, people are using trucks as actual trucks and using it for certain applications. No, this obviously isn't going to work for you. But just hear me out because there is some pretty cool things, especially if you are in the market for an electric truck, maybe not now, but maybe a year or two from now, which separate us from the Ford Lightning, the F-150 Lightning. We have some major advantages at Chevrolet with this new Silverado EV that I would love to go over with you today. All that being said, of course, if you didn't already know this, my channel focuses on GMC Sierra, Chevy Silverado trucks, not to mention, Yukons, Tahoes, and all the other SUVs related to GMC and Chevrolet. And, that being said, if you're interested in that kind of thing and you want to know the newest news, or you want to know tips and tricks, or, tutorials, whatever it may be, subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on future content. But let's kick it off and talk about one of the main differences between these two trucks is the simple fact that the electric Silverado, the Silverado EV, is a purposely built vehicle. It is built from the ground up as an electric truck, as opposed to the Ford F-150 Lightning simply being batteries accommodated to an existing F-150 platform. That in and of itself makes a massive difference when it comes to the ability and the range that we're going to see on the Silverado EV versus what we're currently seeing, at least for the numbers reported for the F-150 Lightning. And why don't we get that out of the way first and then talk about the range. So the range right now on the Silverado EV, doesn't matter if you go with the work truck or if you go with the RST, the new limited edition. And by the way, if you haven't already checked it out, I did do a video on the reveal of the Silverado EV that just happened a couple of days ago about the RST. It really focused on, so if you don't know what I'm talking about, check that video out and it'll tell you all the things you're gonna see in this truck. But we are gonna cover some of it today. But as far as the range is concerned, 400 miles or 640 kilometers range we're gonna be seeing with the Silverado EV. Compared to what we're seeing with the Ford, at least what they're claiming in the top trim in the Ford, you're only gonna get 300 miles or 480 kilometers. That is a 100-mile difference. And obviously that can make a massive difference, especially if you're going on a trip or if you are towing when all of a sudden, the range starts to diminish a lot quicker. And talking about towing, basically what you're seeing right now is they're pretty equal in terms of that. There's going to be a couple things the Ford beat us in, by the way. And we'll be mentioning that, although obviously I'm a Chevy guy. But we are talking about a bit of a difference in towing, or a similarity in towing, by the way, of 10,000 pounds between both trucks. But Chevrolet has announced that they are going to be coming with more of a heavy-duty version. Heavy-duty towing, we're talking up to 20,000 pounds right around the corner for model year 2025. That being said, though, one advantage the Ford does have over the Chevrolet in this case is in terms of the payload, actually. So Chevy is offering 1,200 pounds payload in the RST Silverado EV, whereas the Ford Lightning is offering up to 1,800 pounds payload. As far as off-board power, meaning, what you can charge other things with, both of these trucks are equipped with 10 separate outlets. However, the Chevrolet is equipped with 10.2 kilowatts of off-board power versus the Ford being at 9.6 kilowatts. And we might as well keep talking about kilowatts right now. And if we talk about the DC fast charging available for the Chevy Silverado EV, we're talking 350 kilowatts charging power versus the Ford of only up to 150 kilowatts. Now, as far as the performance, I don't know that I've seen it 0 to 60 time mentioned for the Ford Lightning, although I can tell you in the Silverado EV, it is 0 to 60 in under 4.5 seconds. I haven't seen the weight listed for the Silverado EV either, but if it's anything close to the Hummer, which is over 11,000 pounds, that is getting a big truck moving very quickly. But as far as the horsepower and torque are concerned, in regards to the Chevy Silverado EV, we're talking 660 horsepower versus the Ford of only up to 563. And as far as torque is concerned, we have 780 foot-pound of torque versus the Ford being at 775. So obviously pretty close in that respect. If we want to compare infotainments, one thing we didn't have an advantage for in the past in our half-ton trucks anyways was, the infotainment and a larger screen. Right now we're talking about a 17-inch infotainment screen versus what the Ford is using right now, which is a 15.5. So obviously we're just a little bit larger in that area. Now, one of the dimensions that is more important, I'm sure, than the touchscreen itself is the actual box size itself. And we're going to talk about a couple things here. First and foremost, just the regular box itself. We're going to compare apples to apples. Right now, the Chevy Silverado EV is sitting at 5 foot 11 inches for its regular box. That is versus what the Ford is offering at 5.5 feet, 5 foot 6. We have a massive advantage here and something that the something the Ford F-150 Lightning doesn't offer, which is the midgate, something similar we've seen, of course, in the past in our Avalanche, where you can drop down the seats, you can take the whole window out. The point is we can go from 5 foot 11 feet of space. If you move that back space out, we're now up to 9 feet of space. And if you drop that multi-flex, for Chevrolet tailgate and tip the back of it up, we're talking 10 feet. You can put a kayak in the back of this thing, 10 feet of overall storage. There's no question, hands down, we have the win in this area. And the size differentials, the size advantages for the Chevy keep continuing, talking about 24-inch wheels versus the Ford being at 18-inch wheels, not to mention even more back seat room. In fact, right now, we're talking best-in-class rear legroom at 44.3 inches versus the Ford being at 43.6 inches. And for a taller guy like me, that does make a big difference if I have to sit in the back of one of these things. Both trucks are, however, going to be offered with their own form of autonomous driving. And of course, if you didn't already know this, we have the Super Cruise available for the Silverado EV with the ability to tow with the Super Cruise. And of course, Ford has what they call their Blue Cruise semi-autonomous driving. And then a couple more things that we have that the Ford does not. First of all, we have what we call four-wheel steer, which is going to dramatically change the ability and the turning radius of the Silverado EV. It's going to turn much sharper than what you're going to see the Ford Lightning turn. And on top of that, in terms of the actual ride itself, we have independent suspension, of course, and we have four-wheel adaptive ride control, air ride control, which will allow the vehicle to be lifted up or down by the measurement of 2 inches, which is, another major advantage, again, depending on where it is you're driving the vehicle. So I think you can see that the Chevy Silverado EV definitely has a leg up right now in regards to the Ford F-150 Lightning. One thing I will give the Ford F-150 Lightning is it is going to come out sooner, right? We are going to be seeing it coming into this year, whereas our first Silverado EVs fleet trucks will be out earlier in 2023, and we'll be seeing the RST Edition 1 coming in the fall. Any more questions with this? I would love to hear from you below. What do you think about electric trucks in the first place? I wish that we all had the ability to drive one, because I've driven some electric vehicles and they're just phenomenal. They're in a league of their own, and I can't wait till the infrastructure is there and all the testing. I live in Canada, so cold weather, all that kind of stuff is going to be interesting. But the point is, big wins for the Silverado EV in this respect on this round. But anyways, as always, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Until that next video, take care.